Alpenfury is the latest and greatest roller coaster to open up at Canada's Wonderland, and in my humble opinion, it is the best ride in the entire country. It is the tallest, longest, and fastest launch coaster in all of Canada, and is tied for the most inversions on any coaster in North America. It's a beast of a ride, throwing you through 9 inversions across over 3,000 feet of track, a maximum height of 164 feet, and speeds of almost 72 miles per hour. As it stands, it is the 18th roller coaster to open up at Canada's Wonderland and feels fundamentally different than every other ride in that park. It was manufactured by Premier Rides, the company made famous for the park's previous fastest launch coaster, Backlot Stunt Coaster, and can be seen threading through the left side of Canada's Wonderland parallel to International Street. It is one of the first things you'll see when you enter the park because if you look directly ahead at Wonder Mountain, that is the ride's first inversion, an inverted top hat that shoots you out of the mountain, often accompanied by a burst of flames. It is an epic introduction, an extremely impressive ride, and delivers in just about every single way. In this review, I'm going to be diving into the full experience that Alpenfury offers. We're going to be talking about the story, the queue, each of those individual elements, and how it stacks up against the other rides in Canada's Wonderland and launch coasters worldwide. Now, one of the most impressive accomplishments with Alpenfury is that it only replaced one singular attraction, and that is the Sky Coaster that sat on the left side of the park adjacent to the front entrance. And that was just so they could make room for the turnaround. The rest of the structure was built with few changes made to existing infrastructure, and that includes the launch through Wonder Mountain. This is the park's central icon, which was already home to 3 roller coasters: Vortex, Thunder Run, and Wonder Mountain's Guardian. But this mountain is so huge that they managed to fit in a launch and inversion through existing attractions in a way that is just absolutely mind-blowing. It is an incredible focal point in the park. The attraction's queue and station can be found on the right side of Wonder Mountain, directly next to the Fly. Previously in the space was a few Midway games. The actual entrance to Alpenfury was actually repurposed from the original entrance to Thunder Run. Back when it first opened, that attraction used to be outdoors, but then was relocated to be inside the mountain, and the original entrance was just repurposed into a Midway game. This is a much more appropriate use, but it's a brand new station, new queue, and gift shop. It's all designed to appear as a cute little Swiss village at the base of the mountain. Alpenfury's premise is that you are a visitor to the village's annual Fire and Ice Festival. The festival harkens back to an old climbing trail on Wonder Mountain that is believed to have become home to mythical beasts and raw, pure elements like fire and ice. It's become ingrained in local culture, and now, as a guest, you have the opportunity to journey through Wonder Mountain and face those forces yourself. The queue and station is set up to look like a sled house. The ride vehicle is your sled, and that's why you head straight into Wonder Mountain, and everything that follows is just, well, pure insanity. Most of the queue here is made up of tight switchbacks. There is very little room to work with, so the only theming that you'll really see is here on the outside and then just a couple posters up on the wall. I do think the gift shop was well done though, and if you actually look outside the entrance, up top is a glockenspiel. That was also reused from back in the day. So a lot of fun Easter eggs. If you look right before you hit launch 2, up on Wonder Mountain on the left-hand side is a goat. He was repurposed from the old Baron Curve. The more you know. I love stuff like that. Like, in general, the theming is still minimalist. I really think they are just restricted on space, but it's still very impressive how much queue they actually managed to fit in here. That unfortunately does mean, though, it is not the most fun to wait in. And as to be expected, Alpenfury has been generating extremely long lines. With it being the big new ride in the park, that of course makes sense, but Canada's Wonderland is also one of the most visited theme parks in the entire world, attracting millions of guests every single year. This ride was just not built to meet its demand. I don't think I ever saw the standby wait dip below 120 minutes. The average fast lane line was 45. At one point, we waited an hour. The ride operates with only 2 trains. Each train can only hold 18 passengers at a time. That's quite the difference from Leviathan and Behemoth, which each operate with 3 trains holding 32 passengers at a time. And I completely get that because of the way these elements are profiled, I don't think they could make the train any longer even if they tried. But building a major launch coaster that can't operate with 3 trains was kind of a miss in my opinion. This ride is phenomenal, but I never saw it dispatch without the previous train stacking on the brake run. And that is with only 1 restraint to check, a single lap bar, no seat belts, and loose articles aren't a problem either. There's no bins on the other side of the platform. Alpenfury adopts the same loose article system as Yukon Striker, which is all larger bags have to be put in a locker, but any personal items that would fit in your pocket go in these cubbies that then ride along this line that goes up and over the station to the other side where you'll pick them up at the end. There's no metal detectors, but they do ask for you to empty your pockets. With the ride flying out over the pathway, you don't want anything potentially flying out and hitting another guest. So you would think with all these policies in place that their operations would be fast, and there definitely were times where I saw those crews booking it and doing the best that they could, and I give them a lot of props for that. But with the way it's currently set up, with the additional time it takes for the floors to drop, the gates to open, the train to park, restraints unlock, it takes a bit more time than it probably should, and it shows with the wait times. So be prepared when you come out here to Canada's Wonderland. It's going to take some time. It is a miracle that I can even say that I had the opportunity to ride Alpenfury 10 times. I spent multiple days at Canada's Wonderland. I had fast lane each day, dedicating a good chunk of my time to waiting for this thing. And it was absolutely worth it. I love the experience, but it is certainly not as convenient as just hopping in that 5-minute wait for Leviathan in fast lane. Now, the trains that Alpenfury uses, I gotta say, were a surprise to me. Premier's Skyrocket trains have always been some of my least favorite in the industry. While they always ride incredibly smooth on the tracks, I find them to be way too tight with next to no legroom. It's a struggle getting in and out, and for me, it detracts from the ride experience. So I'm thrilled to say that for Alpenfury, they went through a couple design modifications. Now there's a bit more legroom and those seats feel a tad wider. I feel like I can actually stretch my arms out and lean side to side. I'm not like boxed in with those other Skyrocket 2s. Now, as you dispatch out of the station, you're going to take a right-hand turn to line up with your launch track and hit your first set of LSMs. This is a rolling launch, so you don't stop right before. A maximum speed has not yet been released, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably somewhere around 35 miles per hour. This is just the warm-up. It's kind of a deceiving start because everything that follows is like absolutely nuts. And once you let off this launch, it's like, oh, this isn't too bad. But I will say, this airtime pop that immediately follows as you dive into this tunnel is awesome. It's like sideways airtime. Definitely surprising, and here's where we kick into high gear. Alpenfury accelerates to almost 72 miles per hour, so probably around like a 40 mile per hour gain, and it comes at you quick. This is a short launch track. You're completely surrounded by rockwork. If you ride this at night, you'll see the colored lights change. It starts off like a bluish purple, then changes to orange. It happens so fast, but it is awesome looking. They make you feel like you're actually in a mountain. And fun fact, that's also where you have the location of the ride's storage track. Alpenfury has an almost identical setup to Stardust Racers, where there is no room for a transfer or maintenance bay by the station. So when they want to transfer trains off at night, they'll dispatch them, launch them through launch 1, and then stop on launch 2, and then slide them off to put them to bed. That means the next morning, when they want to restart the ride, they have to swing launch the train. So it'll go backwards up that little hill, and then full speed through the rest of the layout. Same way that you'd restart like Velocicoaster or Voltron. It's pretty cool. But back into the ride experience, this second launch into the inverted top hat is one of the craziest succession of elements that I have ever experienced on a roller coaster. You boost like that. You have no idea what hit you, and before you know it, you are rising up out of the mountain, flipping upside down. It is so intense. There is a lot of positive G-forces there. You are completely pinned to your seat, and then as you flip upside down, you're getting like sideways ejector airtime. Your body is a ragdoll. You're getting tossed side to side, and it is 100% one of those oh crap moments. And I think one of the reasons is because you expect the second launch to be a lot longer than it actually is, and so you're surprised that you're going that fast, and you don't expect to flip upside down that quickly. Before you know it, you're at your maximum height of 164 feet. And this inverted top hat is an interesting one because Alpenfury is advertised with having 9 inversions. If you were to go through and count them, you'd probably only count 8. From my understanding, it's because this inverted top hat is counted as 2 because you roll sideways at the apex and then flip back upside down to head towards the ground. That being said, it feels like one element. You'd have no idea that that was 2 upside down moments. So one of those weird technicalities, as you drop down, you're going to thread through Wonder Mountain's Guardian, fly over the pathway in a more drawn out transition. You're just feeling pure speed, trying to process what just happens, and then you suddenly twist to the right underneath one of those inversions that you'll hit on the way back. You're banking to the right, then to the left, ducking underneath another inversion, and then flipping into a 0G stall. This is perfect 0G, and I love that you're directly over the pathway. You can stare down at guests directly underneath you, and then you suddenly flip out. You're at the turnaround point. You're going to enter what has been dubbed the Sky Flyer roll, of course named after the previous attraction because that's exactly where that used to sit. You're banking up to the right, receiving a lot of positives, and then at the apex, you flip upside down, rolling back towards the ground. And at the peak there, you have like a sudden upside down pop of like airtime where you're like out of your seat. It's so surprising. For a layout that is primarily inversion focused, there's a lot of ejector airtime here. It hits you in ways that I haven't really experienced before. And Alpenfury follows up this inversion with the Ice Winder roll. This is a set of 2 inversions where you flip over and then bank sideways part way and then continue rolling over in the other direction. And these back-to-back inversions are nuts, so whippy. The first part gives you upside down ejector airtime and the second part gives you laterals. And it wastes no time by flipping into another inversion, wrapping around that section of track from earlier. I highly recommend sitting on the left side of Alpenfury at some point because of these 2 rolls. It feels like you could reach out and touch the track. It is wild how close you get. Some insane hand choppers. You'll get more laterals and upside down airtime through these inversions. And as you flip back over, you then rise up into one of the few just traditional airtime hills. This one is very good. It's a nice change of pace to break up the inversions. And then we got one more roll, and this flips you in the opposite direction, and it feels different than all the others. If you've ridden Skyrocket at Kennywood, think of that classic 0G roll. That was perfectly replicated over here. It's probably the quote-unquote most gentle of the inversions, but still very nice. And then we have 2 small bunny hops that takes you into the brake run. 2 more airtime moments to end out your experience. But that being said, I would say the best airtime that you get on Alpenfury does not come in the form of those traditional hills. It really is on the inversions, and that's why I didn't mind that this is a inversion-heavy experience. For having 9 upside down moments, none of them felt repetitive. And that was one of my big concerns going in. I took a look at that animated POV and I was like, wow, a lot of these rolls look like the exact same. It feels like it's just going for the record without actually like doing anything. And I was so wrong. Premiere killed it with this thing. I could not believe it. I had like reasonably high expectations for it, but they were absolutely exceeded. After just my first ride in row 5, I was already like, yeah, that's the best ride in the park. And after doing it multiple times in the back rows, in the front row, I realized that this is not just the best roller coaster in Canada. This is one of the best multi-launch coasters ever built. And this is coming from someone that is not usually like a huge Premiere fan. I like a lot of their coasters, like my favorite is by far Mr. Freeze, and I enjoy the Spaghetti Bowls, but in the grand scheme of like worldwide roller coasters, there's a lot that I would put over it. But in my opinion, Alpenfury really shows what Premiere is capable of. The ride was disorienting in the best way possible, left me guessing, not knowing what is coming next, and each inversion felt like a surprise. If these are the kind of rides that they're capable of producing, then I hope we see a lot more in the future. I think about how when Terran opened at Phantasialand, that was so groundbreaking for Intamin and really like caught everyone's attention. It showed us what kind of rides they were able to produce if given the budget and constraints. And I think in the same way, this is Premiere's Terran. Not in ride experience, but what it will do for the company. Intamin has had so much success with their multi-launch coasters since then, and while Premiere has some good ones, Alpenfury is leagues ahead. For the ride's final score, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. The only downside to it is that, yeah, it would be great if they were able to run 3 trains so it had a higher capacity. There were a couple people I met that still didn't love the trains, and again, they're still not my favorite, but for me, I found them comfortable enough that it didn't bother me before, during, or after the ride experience, and so I loved just about everything about this ride. This is the coaster that'll make you want to come back to Canada's Wonderland. They had a lot of great ones before, but this one's different. So come out here to Canada's Wonderland. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of Alpenfury. If you agree with the points that I brought up, and if you think there's anything I missed, be sure to post that down below. And stay tuned for more coaster reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.